It took just one phone call for us to make a reservation with Santana Bus Lines. They told us their 10 a.m. trip to Hartford on April 1st was sold out, so we settled for a 2 p.m. trip. This minivan, clearly different from the 15-passenger vans cited by investigators, picked me up for $25. Our destination, the Hartford train station. We quickly encountered the same issues with the van that feds detailed in their report. At speeds at times of over 90 miles an hour, our driver recklessly made illegal lane changes. ABC 40 cameras struggled to keep up as they followed behind. Our driver repeatedly used his cell phone while we crossed into Connecticut, where that's illegal. To top it off, the van was dirty and a field day for flies. And when we arrived in Hartford, the same door I used to get in the unmarked makeshift van wouldn't open. The driver, who never gave us his name, had to open another door just to let me out.
We got a question for you. Do you have a license to be transporting people?
I know you. No.
You realize that you're breaking the federal law right now. You're breaking federal regulations. You were told not to be transporting passengers. We're from Channel 40.
Yeah, I know. You show me, you go to the base. You go to the base.
The driver quickly took off, so we followed his instructions and called the base, Santana's office. A man who took the call told us the company was suddenly no longer operating. Back in Springfield, that office is registered to 181 Laconia Street. Their 15-passenger vans are nowhere to be found, but van chairs and tires are all over the backyard. However, nobody would come outside to speak with us. Shannon, Santana Bus Lines stopped answering their phone the day after our trip. Since February 5th, charges have been dropped against 14 Hampden County drug suspects who were ready for trial, and all of them are now free. 5 other suspects have had drug charges dropped but are still being charged with secondary offenses. Hampden County District Attorney Mark Mastriani says because of Sonia Farrak's involvement, that number will only grow.
We have to deal with the reality of her not being able to come in as a witness. Therefore, we have no ability or a limited ability to prove what the quantity, what the substance was.
Documents show that when detectives began searching for Farrak last month so they could question her about the missing evidence, they actually found her outside a Springfield courtroom waiting for a hearing. She began working in the Amherst Drug Lab back in 2004, and along with 3 other chemists, her job was to test any drugs confiscated by police departments across Western Mass. Farrak then testified in court when the suspects headed to trial.
There'll be more trials where she's a witness coming up this week, coming up next week, coming up in the next couple months.
Of the 14 whose charges are already dismissed, at least 9 were allegedly caught dealing drugs. For example, Agawam police executed a search warrant on Scott Goodstein in 2011. Court documents show they found more than 28 grams of cocaine, as well as marijuana and ecstasy. They were subsequent offenses for Goodstein and are now dismissed. Mastriani says many suspects would have been facing years in prison and that from arresting officers to prosecutors, everyone is frustrated.
There's a lot of these individuals who have charges against them, who are individuals with prior criminal histories, who are individuals who are not people that should be out in the community, who are doing only negative things in the community and bringing communities down.
At least 4 other suspects whose charges were dismissed were found in possession of drugs within 300 feet of a school or park. By the sound of the Craigslist ad, this 3-bed, 3-bath Starling Road home is a steal to rent. We emailed the poster for more details, and William Rainford quickly got back to us. He told us he needed $750 wired to him as a deposit. He also said he wasn't in town, so he emailed photos of inside the home to us and asked us to drive by to see the outside. So we did. Lo and behold, when we arrived, we found this John Pedro Realty sign on the front lawn. 255 Starling Road is for sale. William Rainford knew we'd be suspicious, and in fact, in an email, he said he fired John Pedro Realty and just hadn't taken the sign down yet. He also asked that we not contact John Pedro, but we did, and John Pedro says it's all a lie. William Rainford isn't even the homeowner.
I'm shocked that there is a few people out there that take advantage of unfortunate people that they're not aware of these scams.
Pedro says Rainford likely stole photos of the home through a realtor database.
The alarming is that they actually have access to our photos on a multiple listing service somehow, and using this information is totally illegal.
When we pressed Rainford for answers regarding our suspicions, he cut off contact with us. The same thing happened when we tried to rent this home on Russell Street and this one on Weaver Road. In each case, the scammer was out of the area for work, but wanted us to quickly wire them money because, after all, we were in competition for these bargain rentals.
In Springfield, I know of at least 3 in the last couple of months where people got bilked out of their money.
Sergeant John Delaney of the Springfield Police says if it seems too good to be true, it probably is.
If you're not meeting somebody face to face and you're not dealing with a reputable real estate agent and you're dealing with somebody you don't know over a telephone over the internet, don't do it.
John Pedro, meanwhile, is contacting other realtors and Craigslist to try and slow down the scammers. He has this message for consumers.
Tenant be aware, buyer be aware, just to make sure that they deal with they know what they're dealing with as a realtor or a homeowner.
Chris, our investigation last month revealed that AMR is in compliance, but certainly not perfect. That was for the year 2012. Now, it took them over 10 minutes to respond to over 320 calls for the year 2012. About 170 of those, they said, were because the ambulance was too far from the call, and 35 times they simply listed the reason for the delay as undetermined. Today, city councilors asked why. Before a crowded room of city officials and EMTs, city councilors peppered American Medical Response Management with questions. AMR stressed that they are compliant with their contract and believes they are a strong community partner, both in times of crisis and in helping local charities. Still, Councilor Bud Williams says 300-plus excessive delays in 1 year is alarming.
Some parts of the urban communities, south and some parts of north end, and parts of Mason Square, that they just don't feel that these services are done in a very timely manner.
AMR says the #1 reason for delays is that crews are too far from the calls. Other reasons include weather, heavy traffic, and GPS failures. But what exactly happens when long waits are deemed undetermined? The question wasn't posed in the meeting, so we asked afterwards.
If we don't have the reason, not going to make one up.
But shouldn't there be a reason?
If it gets missed for whatever reason, you know, I'm still not going to make up an answer for it.
City leaders sound the alarm about delayed ambulance response times in the paper city. Good evening. I'm Dave Mattson. Shannon's off tonight. Now, all this comes after an ABC 40 investigation last February showed troubling ambulance response times in Springfield. Holyoke's current contract with American Medical Response is up for renewal. And as ABC 40's Bren.monahan explains, the city wants to take the opportunity to make some serious changes.
I just couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. I couldn't take another step.
Gigi Connell went into congestive heart failure at Holyoke City Hall last October. She hit 200 beats per minute and called 911. Holyoke police and fire quickly responded, but dispatch records show an AMR ambulance did not arrive for at least 20 minutes.
I'm like, I'm never going to get out of here, and I'm going to die.
ER staff told Connell the delay may have caused permanent damage, but she wasn't the only one who has suffered delays. Between January 2012 and March of this year, AMR took over 10 minutes to arrive to 911 calls 422 different times in Holyoke. While that percentage is in compliance with their contract that's up for renewal, Fire Commissioner Yazir Menwar says AMR's performance is troubling.
We do realize that they do have a bottom line. And their vested interest is a lot different than what the Holyoke Fire Department is set to do.
One of the city's biggest concerns is that while AMR does have 3 ambulances here in their Holyoke garage, they're using those resources in other communities that they serve.
We have the perception that they may not be at the places where they should be at all times. I don't want to make this about a witch hunt. I just want to trust, but now verify.
ABC 40's Brendan Monahan has obtained exclusive video of the Anthony Bay confession from 2010 that jurors were not allowed to see, but you are.
Anthony Bay went out for a high school reunion December 27, 2009. He shared drinks with old friends, but at the end of the night, something went horribly wrong. 15 fires requiring help from 25 fire departments. Despite being reminded of his rights a number of times, his confession to police was thrown out of court. Today, in his own words, Anthony answers so many questions that so many have been asking for more than 4 years. Anthony Bay told State Troopers Mike Mazza and Sergeant Paul Zipper he didn't know any of his arson victims, and after setting 15 fires in just over 1 hour, December 27, 2009, he never stuck around to see just how big the fires got.
Where are the fires going? Like, did you actually see them grow at all before you...
Not really, because he just started to light it and I was out of there. And that's it.
So
I wasn't hanging around.
You weren't watching it or anything like that?
No, something more of a thing, you know, like do it, and, you know, like something, it's almost like going to get away with, I guess, you know.
Bay later admitted to starting 12 other fires in the same Northampton neighborhood prior to that night. He compared some minor arsons over the years to high school pranks.
Like, you know, and throw it on the porch, ring the doorbell, run across the street, watching, you know.
That's
like literally stupid stuff.
What with you?
Bay told troopers he had a good relationship with his parents. He loved his girlfriend and was treated well at work. He often battled anxiety but didn't have any enemies. So why did he go on a fiery path that night?
Are you mad at anybody?
No, like like I said, it's just like I was like a totally different person that night. Like, and I just don't even trying to think when I was thinking about it all week. Like, I just really didn't figure out like why. And
did you ever think, and I don't know if Mike had asked this, that you could have killed someone? Did you think that I might have killed those people in your brain? Was that ever in there?
I mean, like you said, the next morning when I woke up.
Bay was arrested January 4th, 2010, just a week after bringing terror to his Northampton neighborhood and wishing he never did.
I hope I have been pleasant and kind to you.
You've been nothing but, you treated me with nothing but respect.
And I hope you know that.
I mean, I don't deserve that. I'm probably about to go to jail. This is like, I mean, my life's over.
Anthony Bay pled guilty Monday to 48 charges in all related to 27 different fires he set between 2007 and 2009. The most serious charges were manslaughter charges as they pertain to the deaths of Polieski Sr. and his son, Polieski Jr. In a joint agreement between prosecutors and Bay's attorneys, it's expected that Bay will serve up to 20 years in prison. In the newsroom, Brendan Monahan, ABC 40. Only our cameras were rolling as detectives were seen speaking with office employees, snapping photos, and collecting boxes of evidence. Authorities confirmed Wednesday that someone processed hundreds of absentee ballot applications for next month's Republican primary. That person changed hundreds of voters' political party affiliations from Democrat to Republican so they'd receive a Republican ballot in the mail they were never supposed to get. Yeah, Dave, Jack Villameno sat silent, only looking up really a handful of times while in court today. He was handcuffed and shackled around his ankles after being arrested yesterday at his job with the MBTA in Boston. District Attorney Mark Mastriani told the court Wednesday the elaborate scheme began in mid-June. That's when Jack Villameno's then-girlfriend, Courtney Llewellyn, changed the party affiliations of about 280 East Longmeadow voters from Democrat to unenrolled. A month later, 280 absentee ballot applications were submitted to the town clerk with some striking similarities.
Of those 280 absentee ballots, there is just about a name-for-name match for all the people who have been unenrolled from the Democratic Party.
Villameno allegedly told the clerk's office he'd help out by putting the absentee ballot applications in this mailbox, but investigators allege that he never did and in fact planned to forge them. When we first met Linda Holloway last month, she was determined to get the $6,000 Sam Lynn stole from her over 4 years ago.
He's not going to get away with this, and people need to know what he does.
Lynn took Linda's money as a deposit to build a new roof and was never seen again. Criminal charges were filed, but the case dragged on, and in fact, it was continued an unprecedented 24 times in court. Linda asked for our help, so we brought the issue to Hampden County District Attorney Mark Mastriani. He reviewed the case, and this week, Sam Lynn showed up to court for an impromptu hearing.
I actually thought it was going to be bad news when they called me and told me to come over. I was shaking. I was actually shaking. Even reading my statement to the judge, I was shaking. It was all not real. It feels like it's not real.
But it is. Lynn pled guilty. He was placed on probation and after more than 4 years paid Linda her $6,000. He even apologized to her. Mastriani says it's because Linda's persistence paid off.
In a lot of ways, she advocated for herself and brought this to people's attention, including to the attention of the media and your news station.
If it hadn't been for you and getting the word out there, I don't feel that I would be in the same position I am.